President Trump says he's ready to buy a Tesla, but the company's stock just took a wild dive, 9 weeks of losses in a row, starting right when he took office. People are even protesting at Tesla dealerships across the country, and it's got the White House talking. Tesla's value dropped a huge $135 billion, going from $770 billion to just $635 billion. Can Tesla climb out of this mess with higher tariffs, tougher competition, and Elon Musk's bold statement stirring up trouble? Trump's team slapped new trade tariffs on the table, and now Tesla's feeling the heat. These rules jack up the price of parts coming from Europe and China, making it way more expensive to build cars. Suddenly, popular rides like the Model 3 and Model Y aren't so wallet-friendly. Tesla's forced to hike prices, and keeping them affordable feels like a high-stakes juggling act. Meanwhile, with everyday costs soaring and life getting pricier by the day, American families are sweating over whether they can even afford an electric car. Owning and running one is starting to cost a fortune, and some folks might just say, forget it, I'll stick with my old gas guzzler. So here's the big question. Will Americans hang tight with Tesla through this wild ride? It's not just tariffs hitting Tesla. Big car companies like Volkswagen, Renault, and Stellantis are jumping into the electric car game too. They're spending tons of money to make their own electric cars and grow their options. Volkswagen even says it wants to be the biggest electric car maker in the world, selling cheaper models with cool features that match Tesla's. Now, people have more choices when they shop for electric cars, and Tesla isn't the only big name anymore. This is especially true in Europe, where local brands are giving Tesla a run for its money. Buyers might switch to brands with better prices and service after they buy. On top of tariffs and competition, Tesla's money situation is looking shaky. How will this mess with the stock market and the US economy? Let's break it down. In the last few months, Tesla's stock crashed by over 53%, showing that people don't trust the company as much anymore. On March 14th, Tesla's value fell from $770 billion to $635 billion, a big drop. Tariffs and more competition are a huge part of why. If investors stop believing in Tesla, big money groups might pull their cash out. That could leave Tesla short on money to make and sell cars, which would mean fewer cars and higher prices. People shopping for Tesla cars would have to pay more if the company can't keep prices fair. With prices going up all over and the stuff needed to make cars getting pricier, companies like Tesla are spending more to build each car. This might make electric cars less exciting to buy, especially since other brands like Volkswagen, BYD, and NIO are selling theirs for less. American buyers will see car prices rise, and electric cars might feel out of reach. Meanwhile, other electric car companies are popping up with better deals, which could make Tesla less popular. To figure out why Tesla's in this mess, let's look back at what started it all. Things got tough, and it snowballed fast. The mystery signature. Who sent hundreds away? On March 15, 2025, a special order showed up in the US government's official records, signed by Donald J. Trump. It said nearly 300 Venezuelans called extremists had to leave the country under an old law from 1798 called the Alien Enemies Act. But a few days later, Trump said, "We want criminals out of our country." That's the top thing, but I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it. Someone else took care of it. So who did it, and what's really happening here? This wasn't just talk. It was an official paper with Trump's name, signature, and the date on it. But 5 days later, he told reporters, "I'm not sure when it was signed." Then White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said the opposite. President Trump signed it to use the Alien Enemies Act. Some news outlets backed this up, saying it was to stop terrorism. The paper, the signature, the official word all pointed to Trump. But when people started asking questions, he said it wasn't him. One side has proof of his signature, the other has him saying no. So was this a mix-up or something planned? Using a war law when there's no war. The law they used, the Alien Enemies Act from 1798, hasn't been touched in almost 100 years. It was last used during World War II. It's supposed to be for when the US is at war with another country, but right now, there's no war declared by Congress and no big emergency. Trump still said, it's an invasion. There are criminals, lots of criminals, murderers. Reports and court papers show the people sent away included soccer coaches, people legally asking for safety, and even women and teens with no crimes. Some got called gang members just for having a Real Madrid tattoo or making a peace sign in pictures. They were shipped off without a trial, lawyers, or a chance to explain. They ended up in detention centers in El Salvador where no one's really watching. Was this about keeping people safe or just using tricky laws for political points? Saying, "Not me," again. When the news started digging and people got upset, Trump quickly said he didn't do it. He hinted someone might have used an auto pen, a machine that signs for you. Just look, he signs with an auto pen. Who was signing all this with an auto pen? Who'd think you'd sign big stuff like that with a machine? These are important papers you're proud to sign. In a court in Washington, D.C., Judge Jeb Boasberg asked the Justice Department, why were these people sent away without a fair process? The government's lawyer just said, we didn't get details, we just followed orders. So the boss says it wasn't him, the workers don't know anything, and the people affected are just gone. Is this still a system that follows rules? A trick they've used before, making up the story. Look closely, this isn't new. It's a pattern. They do something big, friendly news says it's fine. And when people push back, the leader says it wasn't him and points fingers. Trump mentioned Marco Rubio. We've got Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now we know who to blame if it goes wrong. Oh, Marco's been great. And the people sent away. Many haven't been heard from since. Their families are still waiting. Don't turn away. The truth might be right there, just hidden. There's division and sneaky moves still going on with the Democrats too. But there's so much to unpack here with two big names in the crowd. Elon Musk, crazy money promises, wild land ideas, and giving Elon Musk unofficial power. Trump's speech showed all kinds of mixed up plans. Could this mean his presidency is shaky? Trump said he'd stop price increases right away and lower costs. He told people, plus, with our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on stuff made here and all manufacturing, and like before, we'll let you write off 100% of it. But that same week, the stock market dropped 1,300 points. Prices for food, building stuff, and electronics kept going up. An expert said on TV, Trump's words don't match what's happening. His tariffs and trade fights with Canada and China made raw materials cost more, pushing prices up, not down. This gap between what he said and what's real makes people wonder if his ideas can work. Besides money worries, Trump surprised the world with bold land grabs. He told Congress, I've got a message for the great people of Greenland. We back your right to choose your future, and if you pick us, we welcome you into the United States. We need Greenland for our safety and even world safety, and we're working with everyone to get it. We need it for global security, and I think we'll get it one way or another. Denmark shot back fast. Their leader had already said, Greenland's not for sale. It's a crazy idea. Trump didn't stop there. He said the US should take back the Panama Canal. It was built by Americans for Americans, not others, but Panama's been in charge of it since 1999. Panama's leaders called Trump's words a big attack on their rights. These comments are messing up friendships with other countries and make people ask, is Trump protecting America or chasing power in a risky way? In his speech, Trump said he'd break up government red tape and kick out officials not picked by voters. The days of unelected people running things are done. But just days before, his team ditched a big phone deal with Verizon and gave it to Elon Musk's Starlink. Someone wrote online, funny Trump talks about cutting bureaucracy, but he's handing government stuff to a tech billionaire. Elon Musk is acting like an extra vice president. Even Trump's fans were surprised. A conservative TV guy, Dave Portnoy, said, gotta say, this didn't feel right. Elon Musk's basically co-president now. Trump says he's getting rid of unelected people, but he's giving huge power to someone outside the government. This mix-up makes you wonder, who's really calling the shots? The folks who cheered Make America Great Again are turning away from Trump now. The US economy's sinking, and his plans are wrecking things. Millions are facing a crisis they never saw coming. This isn't just one group's problem, it's hitting towns and cities all over America. Local leaders are in a tough spot because Trump's fans, who trusted him, are speaking out loud now. They're not quiet anymore. They want the government to fix things fast to stop the mess from getting worse and bring back trust. If Trump's team doesn't act soon, it could all fall apart for good. Meetings and protests are popping up in states everywhere. People are holding rallies, asking the government to step up and save the economy. The ones who voted for Trump don't believe his promises anymore. They want real fixes to keep their jobs, take care of their families, and trust the system again. Anger builds up fast, and if the government doesn't move quickly, they'll lose the people they counted on. Looking at all this, one big question comes up. Can Americans stand together and turn things around? Can we bounce back from this? These money troubles aren't just for one bunch of people. They're hitting the whole country. We can only hope for better days if everyone works together. So, are we ready to make a change? Stocks and cryptocurrencies are crashing, and millions are losing jobs, all because of wild policies no one expected. Money troubles are happening right in front of us, but lots of folks don't see how bad it is. From Trump's tricky tariff ideas to flip-flopping plans with no direction, the US economy's taking a big hit. These unsteady moves and wrong guesses are breaking the trust and steady life Americans built over years. These unsure tariffs are shaking up the economy. Big and small companies are dealing with higher costs and messed up supply chains, which means more people are out of work. Rural states, where Trump had tons of support, are hurting the most. Families there, who worked hard to get by, are watching their hopes crumble into chaos. They're losing jobs and facing tough times like not paying bills and living worse than they ever thought. So who's getting hit hardest? The people who voted for Trump and believed him. Farmers, veterans, and rural towns. His biggest fans are now dealing with budget cuts, losing healthcare, and businesses shutting down. They're paying a huge price for decisions from the team they trusted, losing not just jobs, but the life they worked so hard for. US markets lose $3.6 trillion. Canada fights back. Is America hurting itself? Overnight, the US market lost $3.6 trillion. Canada hit back hard. American businesses are in a mess. Are these new tariffs backfiring? The US raised tariffs and a trade war started. On March 4th, 2025, Trump's team set new rules. 25% tariffs on stuff from Canada and Mexico, an extra 10% on Canadian energy, and tariffs on Chinese goods went from 10% to 20%. Why they say it's to protect the US economy and stop illegal stuff from coming in. But is this a win? Just hours after the tariffs kicked in, Canada fought back. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, if the US puts tariffs on us, we'll hit back right away. And they did. Canada put a 25% tariff on $155 billion of US goods, hitting key areas. $30 billion taxed now, the rest in 21 days. It's Canada's biggest trade punch at the US ever. Canada's regions push back Ontario, Doug Ford. Power play, 25% tariff on electricity to the US, hitting 1.5 million homes in New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. They warn they'll cut power completely by April if tariffs stay. Canceled a $100 million deal with Elon Musk's Starlink. Nova Scotia, Tim Houston, blocking the US. Doubled tolls for US trucks, pulled American liquor off store shelves, and banned US companies from government deals. Alberta, Danielle Smith, looking elsewhere, says the US is ruining trade deals, wants less need for the US, pushing sales to Europe and Asia, and asking for more local military and factory investment. Manitoba, Wob Canoe, hitting everyday stuff, banned US liquor from stores, hurting America's alcohol business. Newfoundland and Labrador, Andrew Fury, cutting ties, checking all deals with US companies, shifting trade to Europe, relying less on the US. Canada's never fought back this strong before. US money markets tanked days after the US-Canada tariff fight got worse. American markets crashed. The Dow Jones dropped nearly 800 points, one of the year's biggest falls. S&P 500 and NASDAQ fell 2%, hitting warning levels. $3.6 trillion disappeared from the market, shaking up Wall Street. The hardest hit areas, car makers, Ford and GM could lose $14 billion and $6 billion. Building, housing costs are soaring with pricier materials. Everyday goods. Americans face higher prices from import taxes. Investors freaked out, moving money to US Treasury bonds for safety. That dropped bond yields is a sign a recession might be coming. What's next for the US? What will Washington do? Will they drop tariffs to stop more damage? Will they push Canada harder even with the risks? Will they try a new trade deal? If the US doesn't change soon, the world's top economy might face a bigger crisis than anyone thought.